Hello music producers and welcome to this exciting video. In this video we're going to be going over everything you need to know about automation clips. We're going to be covering what they are, how to create them, how to edit them and manipulate them, and actually why it is important to use automation clips when making your beats and your songs. So without further ado, what are automation clips? Automation clips is a way in which we control different faders, knobs, parameters, effects, whatsoever it is. You can control it in time with your song. It's actually very simple to do this within FL Studio. All right, all you need to do is you need to right click on the fader you want to automate. So let's say for example we want to create a fade in for this simple melody that we have going on right here. Let's say we just want to fade it in. Okay, we can right click on the master volume, okay, because that's what controls the volume of everything. All right, and then we select create automation clip. And once we do that and we go back, you can see we have this right here created for us. All right, and you can see this is what we call an automation clip. So if we want to feed this in, all right, all we need to do is we just need to take this icon right here, and then we can go ahead and take this down. Now once we take this down, you can see that we now have this slope. So it is going from 0, which is the bottom, to its maximum, which is at the top. And if we open the mixer right here, we can see that we have it at 0 now because it is at 0, which is the beginning. And if I take it to the end, okay, we can see we have it at its maximum. So while we are playing the track, you will notice the volume increasing as this is being played. So this right here is just the most basic way in which you can create an automation clip within FL Studio. Alright guys, so let's go over some basic tools and functions you need to know about the automation clip. So first of all, if we go to the top left right here and we right click, you can see we have some automation clip options. We have the preview, we have the select source channel, and you can see this is selected to the master volume because it is the master volume that we created the automation clip for. All right, then we have the channel settings, we have the articulation tools. This has a lot of effects that we're going to be coming back to later on in this video. So aside that, you can see if we hover over this the automation clip itself, and like earlier, like I said, if we hover over this icon, we can see it changes over to a hand icon. And this right here is called a control point. All right, you have a control point right at the beginning and you have a control point right at the end. And you can also right click in the middle to create a control point, and you can always hold left click and drag to move the control point up and down, left and right. And you can right click and delete a control point. And now if we look in between each control point, you can see we have this smaller circle in between. All right, and if we hover over that, you can see it has this up and down icon. The mouse icon changes to this up and down icon. So this right here is called the tension handle. If we go ahead and move this icon up and down, you can see it changes what happens in between the two control points. So you can see we can make this up like this, we can take this down, okay, and anywhere you see this smaller circle is always in between two control points. You can see you can always go ahead and affect to the shape of the line in between the two control points. So if I'm to go ahead and right click on a control point, you can see we have the delete option as the number 1. But if you go further down, you can see we have different kinds of modes right here. All right, and these different kinds of modes do different things and perform different functions. Now, a very important and very common one is the hold option. All right, and what this does is that when I click on the hold, it gives us this sharp shape. So as you can see, this just takes us immediately from that point down till the next point. This is a very good way for you to do that. All right, and lastly we have wave, which just creates a wave for us, okay, a straight wave. Now this is just a very simple and basic way to create automation clips. Now in this kind of option, this first points right here increases the height of all the waves. As you can see, it affects everything, while this one here affects all the ones at the bottom. So you can see in between these two points, these two control points, we have the tension handle, okay, which in this case for the wave option increases the number of waves and reduces the number of waves. And you can see we can always drag the control point to go ahead and make it as we want it to be. Alright guys, so now I'm going to be giving you some important and helpful tips and tricks that can help you to make creating automation clips as easy as possible. So far as we move our control points, okay, up and down, left and right, you can see it's also extending the length of the automation clip. Now in some cases you might want this, but in some other cases you might not want this effect. If you look up, you can see we have the slide turned on. Now if we turn this off and if we drag, you can see it's no longer extending the length of the automation clip. And talking about control points, if we hold down control, all right, if we click on a control point and we hold down control, you can see we can only move up and down. We can only move vertically. And if we hold down shift, if we click and hold down shift, we can only move left and right. We can no longer move up and down. And also normally if we move this control point, you can see that it's moving along the grid. If we do not want this, we can hold down Alt, okay? And you can see we can always freely move it without it following the grid pattern. And we can combine this also. We can hold down Control and Alt to move it freely. We can hold down Shift and Alt to move it freely also without moving it along the grid. Alright guys, so one thing I want to show you guys is also how to delete an automation clip. You can just go ahead and right click here and it deletes that, or you can also go over to the channel rack and you can right click it and you can delete from here. But one thing you should always do after you have deleted the automation clip is to go over to that value which you created the automation clip, and you can see we have to click on delete initial value. So once you click on that, it then removes everything that has to do with that automation clip entirely. Alright guys, so if you want to create an automation clip for a third-party plugin, all you need to do is you need to go over to that plugin. Okay, so I'm using Electra in this example. Alright, and the knob that you want to affect an automation clip for, make sure you move it, and then you go over to this option right here, multi-link to controllers. Then you right click and you create an automation clip for that. You can also go ahead and cut automation clips. So for example, let's say you have this pattern right here and you want to go ahead and just duplicate it. Okay, you can also create something like this. So let's say you want these two to link together. Okay, instead of them jumping from up to down, let's say we want them to go down smoothly. Okay, we can always go ahead and copy the value of this first point right here. As you can see, I just clicked on that and I copied the value. So I can now go ahead and create a point right here, drop it at the end, and then go ahead right here and paste that value right there. As you can see, now it's become smooth, and I can go ahead and bring this back up to how it was, and you can see that change of this, that the change I made in the first one has also affected the other ones right there. As you can see, everything is smooth. So whatever edit I make to this one affects the rest of them. And for example, let's say you want to combine all these things together instead of having them individually. We can go ahead and select all this, okay? And I'm doing this by holding down Control and clicking and dragging. And you can go over to the top right here, go over to Edit, all right? And you can see we have Merge Automation Clips down here. And we can click on that, and it's merged all the automation clip into one right here. As you can see, we also have the initial one that we created, all right? And we also have the merge one right here. As you can see, it has created two for us. So this is a very, very important thing to know. And also, if we go over to the articulation tools like we did earlier, as you can see, we can copy a state of an effect, and we can also paste the state of an effect. And this is very simple. So let us say we want this same automation, but not to affect this volume. Let's say we want it to affect this parametric EQ right here. Let's say we want this to go from here to here. So the knob that affects this value is right here. Okay, so if we move this up and down, you can see this is what it's been affected. So we can right click on this, and we can also create an automation clip for this. Let's say we want to copy this particular automation clip over right here. So all we need to do is also to right click, articulation tools, we copy the state, and then we go to where we want to paste it, and then we right click articulation tools, and then we paste state right here. And as you can see, it copies that exact same effect over here. And now if we go over to the parametric EQ and we play this, you can see that it does exactly that. And also over at the articulation tools, you can see not just copy and paste state we also have flip vertically, and this does exactly what it says. If we click on this, it just goes ahead and takes the up values down, takes the down value up. And aside flip vertically, if we right click and go to the articulation tools, you can see we have scale levels right here. And if we click on this, you can see we have three options. We have the center, we have the multiply, and we have the offset. Now what multiply does is that, as you can see, it just takes it down to the lowest. Okay, we can affect this knob, and we can also bring it down to the highest. So what you can just do is you can just go ahead and experiment with all these different tools that we have right here. But another one that is very, very useful is this smooth up option that we have right here. And what this does is that if we look at this, it just goes ahead to smooth up all the control points. As you can see, as if I move this option right here all to the highest, you can see how it smooths it out. All right, and if I take it down to the lowest, okay, you can see how initially they were sharp and pointy. but just take out all this option, it just smooth it out and makes everything as smooth as possible. All right, guys. So lastly, there's one more effect I'm gonna want to show you guys, and this is a very important effect to know about when creating automation clips. All right, so like the first thing we did, remember we created a volume fading. So let's go ahead and do that again. All right, so don't forget, take this down, and remember the volume went all the way from 0 to 80. But let's say we do not want this. We can actually change this bottom value and we can change the top value. All right, so what I'm trying to say is that we can change this bottom value not to be 0. Okay, we can change this top value not to be 100. So let's say we take this to the top, it's going from 0 all the way up to 100. So how we do this is we double click on this, all right, and you can see we have the minimum and the maximum value. Now the minimum value is set to 0 right here, and the maximum value is actually set all the way to 100. So let us say that we want the minimum value to be something like 50, okay, and want the maximum value to be something like 60. So I'm gonna go ahead and set this to 50, all right, and then we're going to copy the value, all right, double click right here. I will go ahead and paste the value right here. And we can also go ahead and do the same thing for the maximum. We can move this up to 60%. All right. Then we right click, copy value, the same thing. Double click on the automation clip, go to the maximum and paste the value right here. So now once we do this, if we play back the volume from the beginning, you notice that it doesn't now start from 0. So you can see it doesn't start from 0. It starts from that minimum value we set it, and then it goes all the way up to the maximum value. So instead of it going from 0 to 100, it goes from that minimum value we set to the maximum value. And also, while creating automation clips, you also need to be aware of the fact that when you highlight a portion, okay, and you create an automation clip, it only creates an automation for that particular range that you've selected. So let's say we go ahead and right click and we create an automation clip for here. You can see it doesn't cover the whole song. It doesn't create automation clip for the whole song. It just creates for that particular portion that you've selected. Alright guys, so that'll be all for this video. Please, if you did like this video and you learned a lot from this video, please don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to this channel, and also enable notifications so that you get notified when I upload new videos just like this for you. Till we meet again guys, stay safe and see you in the next one.